Hey everyone, welcome to Superhero Deep Dive. I am your host Jason. I have a fun episode today. I'm going to talk about the female hero from Marvel known as Silhouette. She is awesome, but before I do, I need to give a couple of things first, get them out of the way. Number one is disclaimer saying that these sources are pulled from different areas across the internet and may or may not be completely complete. I try to do the best I can. I try to skip over a lot of mundane things. I want to get to kind of like the meat of the matter. So you have fun exploring the character on your own as well. So hopefully, I get good information out there for you to spark your interest. But yeah, the sources may or may not be completely complete, but they do try to give a really good insight on the current superhero. So with that being said, let's get into it. I'm going to talk about Silhouette today. Silhouette was a member of New Warriors, which is a kind of a teenage superhero team back in the 90s. Um, if you didn't pick it up from any of my previous podcasts, I was a big fan of the comics in the 90s. A lot of the heroes I'm going to pull are from that era because I think that there were characters coming out that could have been expanded on, that could have been brought, to bigger and better things, and for whatever reason they weren't. Um, they may not have been written well, but they could have. Like the potential was there. So we're going to explore that. Maybe you'll see one of these heroes on the pages, on the screens. Who knows? But yeah. Before I get into her, though, and I meant to do this a minute ago, so I'm sorry, but I want to give a shout out to my friends Chris and Chris with the Friends with Benefits podcast, and they're on the Talking Nerdy to Me network. For some reason, I couldn't say that properly, but they broadcast a live podcast every Tuesday evening at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Twitch, and then they upload it on Wednesdays wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. So look for them. It's called Friends with Benefits. I have Superhero Deep Dive that gets released every Tuesday, or it's supposed to at least. We're all human, so there's times where it may be later, but it shouldn't be. It's just a matter of getting in a habit, and we're doing that. And I also have another podcast called Before It All Starts Again, and that's released every Friday. It's a lot of fun. Come listen to us. If you ever have any questions, comments, concerns, critiques, anything like that, anything to add to any of the characters, any requests for new characters to cover, I am all ears. I love doing this. It's a lot of fun. You can catch me on Twitter at b4itall1, or you can email me directly at b4itall@yahoo.com. And you can also use the hashtag superherodeepdive. That'll let me know that you're listening. That'll let me know that you have comments or whatever. And I am all about it. So let's get into it. Silhouette. She's awesome. She's amazing. Her real name is actually Silhouette Cord. She is originally from Cambodia. So she's got an Asian mother and a African American father, and that's how she kind of qualifies to be in the African American History Month, because she does have that. She does have that ancestry, like immediate ancestry, which is really cool. I think this is such a fun way to end the Black History Month. But she's Cambodian. She's also a mutant. Okay, so this is kind of cool because she didn't go to Xavier's and she didn't follow the whole X-Men lineage. She did her own thing. She has a twin, or she was a twin, and I'll get into him in a little bit. But when she was young, her and her twin were abandoned in Chinatown because their parents originally had them conceived to be like mystical cult babies. They were in this thing, and they would have, and their destiny was to have access to like interdimensional gateways. So the mom like got them out of that because that's just not a fun scene to be in. You can go on YouTube and look up any cult member YouTube channel. It's always good to be out of a cult. So, um, yeah. So they have that. But she grew up in Chinatown, which is not the safest of areas historically, media wise, I guess. Um, and here's the thing about a lot of Asian cultures in general is that Asian cultures aren't big fans of outsiders. Um, and I mean, to the point where they don't, a lot of Asian cultures don't even like other Asian cultures. Um, it's worth a Google. Look it up. It's worth a Google. But yeah, so this is someone that is half Asian, they're half African American, so they're called Blasian. Um, I actually know two people that coined that term, so that's really cool. They're called Blasian. So she was not necessarily going to be accepted around her in the '90s in Chinatown. She wasn't going to be accepted by the Asian community. She wasn't going to be accepted by the African American community. So she was definitely in a situation that was not beneficial to her livelihood. But she stood tall. She learned to defend herself. And then when it came out she was a mutant, she really had to learn how to defend herself because there's a lot of anti-mutant sentiment there. So, you know, that's, it kind of sucks. She was 14. She was part of a gang called the Concrete Dragons, and they were all killed off because she wouldn't submit to be a rival gang's slave. Um, and I thought I had the other gang. It was like Poison's Kiss or something like that. I can't remember the exact. I know it had poison in it. Um, but they wanted her to be their slave, and she refused, and they just basically massacred her gang. Um, so that sucks. That sucks. You know, um, Silhouette's twin brother grew to be the villain known as Midnight's Fire. I'm not getting into Midnight's Fire. That's not part of this right now. It's just that's worth a mention, but that's about it. Um, Later down the road, because she still wanted to do the right thing. She still wanted to fight against everything that was holding her down. So she was actually helping Night Thrasher with his superheroing, and things went south. She got shot, and her spine was ruptured. Like they got her, and since then she was paralyzed from the waist down, which kind of sucks. But she didn't give up. She ended up she has these braces, the kind of like crutches that go on the arms, that wrap around the arms. She has that so she can keep going. Like she has not given up one bit. Um, to me that's just awesome. It's amazing that someone can have all these things thrown at them, and to me that's one of the things I guess I really truly love about superheroes is that life can just keep shitting on them, and they still have that will to do the right thing, to do what's right. Um, I mean, because like, let's be honest, she could have, she could have given up. She could have given up a long time ago. She was in Chinatown. She could have given up, But she fought, and you know, at 14 years old, she watched her gang get, just killed off one by one. Like, they were all murdered because the other gang wanted her to be a slave for them. So, she could have given up to save the other people. She could have just hung her head down, but she had, and it's not about what's right or what's wrong. In this, it's the spirit to keep fighting. This was going against her, and she fought against it. This was where it was. She was helping Night Thrasher fight crime, and she got shot. She got shot in the spine and paralyzed from the waist down. She could have stopped. She could have stopped. She could have been like Barbara Gordon, Batwoman, and been Oracle at that point and just stayed off in the back. But no, she got braces, and she learned how to defend herself with those so she could keep fighting. Like, I mean, that is an insane amount of willpower. If there was ever a real merging of the DC universe and Marvel universe, I'd be willing to bet money that she would end up with a lantern ring somewhere. Because, I mean, it's just an incredible amount of willpower to keep going. So for her powers, she could actually teleport in shadows, and she could become like a living shadow and make things out of them, like tendrils or tentacles. Stuff. She could be a living shadow. She could walk through people. It was all very much stuff like that, which makes sense because like, I believe that mutant powers are reactionary. And I'm gonna have an episode on that one day. I think that's gonna be awesome. Just to do a big episode on mutant powers. But if she was abandoned, had to learn to protect herself, learn to take care of herself, and stuff like that. By people that are gonna hate her for multiple reasons. Yeah, why not teleport in shadows? I mean, that's a way to take care of yourself. It's a way for your body and the mutation to react, to get yourself out of harm's way. So I think that's awesome. And when she got her braces for her legs and stuff, they have enhancements like electric tips, and she got martial arts skills, because of the whole obligatory growing up in Chinatown thing. But like, there's that. I mean, she hasn't given up, and everything about her says she should, but then she doesn't. So yeah, like, she could hit you with the crutch, and the electric tip will shock you. So I mean, that's really cool, because then that gives her a chance to move on to the next person or get to safety. Um, let's see, relationships. So according to Wikipedia, uh, her and Night Thrasher were lovers for a while, which is really weird because when I was doing a deep dive on Night Thrasher, um, there was no information about them being in a relationship. It said that he had feelings for her, but it didn't say anything about a relationship. So this one, it says that they were lovers. Night Thrasher fell in love with her, for whatever reason, didn't work out. Um, but she also hooked up with Night Thrasher's half brother, Bandit. So there's that. I mean, okay, okay. No judgment, no judgment here. Confusion, but no judgment. So, you know, what can you do, right? It is what it is. I guess the brother had the better shot. Maybe it was one of those things where, if the brothers grew up with similar backgrounds, so similar sense of humor, similar methods of thinking, but Night Thrasher was very single-minded in trying to bring down crime and things like that. Maybe it was one of those things where the brother was there and he wasn't so single-minded, and he gave her the attention she needed. So, you know, if you have choice A and choice B, but choice B maybe is there for you a little bit more emotionally, then whatever, right? I don't know. I don't know. I'm just speculating at this point. But there's that. So fun facts. Silhouette's long lost father, so one of the mystical cultist people, was also one of Night Thrasher's guardians. Night Thrasher had the Asian lady as kind of like the Alfred role, but he also had another one that turned out to be Silhouette's long lost father. In earlier drawings, and you should look it up, look up Silhouette New Warriors or Silhouette Marvel New Warriors. The way she was drawn looks a lot like the actress Zendaya. So I think there's a movie casting waiting to happen with that. Or even if they just implemented it in the Spider-Man universe, because they could do that, and I would totally fall for that. Like, what if Zendaya, because she plays MJ, what if she got shot, got paralyzed, needed braces, and it turns out when she got shot, she had a power suddenly activate where she could go and, melt into shadows and teleport and whatnot. So she became Silhouette. It would be a really easy way to do it. And if you looked at the drawings and if you looked at Zendaya, you would see they look a lot alike. So it would. I don't know any comic nerds that would probably look and be like, well, this isn't right. This isn't real. I would love to see more representation in the movies as well. But yeah, so that's what I have on as far as like the deep dive into Silhouette. She's a complex character because she had everything working against her, and she refused to back down, which to me is crazy, insane, awesome. And this is the part where I have like the most fun with it. It's power expansion. So how would I work this character into comics, media, stuff like that, like into the movies, into TV shows, Netflix series, what have you. What would I do? So I've always loved this character because of the hardship she had to overcome. As far as character-wise, I wouldn't actually expand on her too much. I would just want her to have some time to shine. Like, for instance, let her have her own miniseries based in Chinatown. That's where she grew up, so she knows the streets. Let her take on the gang scenes there, where, which that can lead to like an Asian big baddie, leader of, one of the triads, or, I know this is Japanese and Chinatown's Chinese, but, there could be a Yakuza presence. Just stuff like that. Like, let there be something, White Lotus Society. I don't know. Like, there could be anything. You could have cameos from other heroes that are associated with the cultures over there, like Iron Fist. And if you have Iron Fist, you're going to have Luke Cage. You could have Shang-Chi, Master of Kung Fu, and other characters like that. Like, there's a lot that can be done. Even as a, in the comic series, but even in the media, like Netflix or something. Like, Netflix did an awesome job with Daredevil, and I was not as big of a fan of Iron Fist, but they still did a good job with it. Did a really good job with Punisher and Luke Cage. I loved the Luke Cage series. I don't think they could have done better with Luke Cage. I think Luke Cage was awesome. But, she could be in something like that, only with, Chinatown. You know, like she's really unique in the fact that she's got these physical limitations, but she's never given up. Like her and her team, when she was with the New Warriors, have gone up against the Juggernaut. They've gone up against Terex, who is one of the Heralds of Galactus. You know, they've gone up against some of these big bads, and like she's held her own against heavy hitters. You know, so there's so much potential in that, and for someone to let's go down the checklist. I mean, seriously, she's a mutant. You know, which they can always, if they didn't want her to be a mutant, they can always work it in some other way. You know, maybe in Chinatown, I don't know, maybe there was some kind of drug or something that happened. I don't know, but they can work something out. Um, you know, but she's a mutant. She's part African American in an Asian community. She's she's not fully Asian in an Asian community, which is just as bad to some cultures, you know, to some parts of with that. Um, she's got physical limitations. She's got a disability with being paralyzed from the waist down. You know, so I mean, that's a huge hill to climb. No other. I mean, you had Daredevil who was blind, but he also had the sonar vision. You know, like I mean, he had sonar, so it kind of gave him sight with it in a way. She she's really she's really like half a person. I mean, she's paralyzed from the waist down. So there's a lot of limitations there. But she has never given up the fight, which is why I love her so much. I mean, it's just an awesome character. So I think that we could do something like this. She could be built up, and can you imagine that kind of representation? Can you imagine the casting? Like, who would you want to cast as this? Let's say that they decide not to go with Zendaya because you know she's associated with the Spider-Man movies, so she's already got her place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Who would you choose and why? Um, you got to think someone that has a little bit of like the Asian influence in their look. Um, Silhouette was always really like slender, you know, which plays into the fact that you know if she's paralyzed from the waist down, Asians usually have a more slender, you know, tone anyway. You know, so like how would you play this out? I would love to hear. I would love to hear because I think that representation is important, and she's not physically limited just for the sake of being physically limited. You know, things happen because she was helping fight bad guys, and instead of just retiring, instead of sitting back behind a computer, like certain people, Batgirl, we're looking at you. She got up. She got up and then electrocuted people with her braces. So, what do you guys think? Let me know. I want to get into this. We're gonna go into a deep dive onto mutations next, I believe, and then I'm gonna get to my daughter Jubilee. She's gonna guest host with me, and we're gonna do Jubilee on Jubilee. So I'm looking forward to that. I think it'll be fun. In the meantime, I'm going to get off of here. Remember, you can always catch me wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts with the Talk Nerdy to Me network. We even have our own app. You can download. I believe it is TN2M Shows, I believe is the app title. But, yeah. Follow me on Twitter at B4 it all one. You can also use the hashtag superherodeepdive, and you can email me directly at b4itall@yahoo.com. All right, I'm gonna head out. Everyone, be happy, be blessed, be safe, be smart. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.